Nation. I'm Katie Tolbert.
And I'm Shaquem Holloway.
And this is Sports Talk with the Georgian. Today we will be covering how both men's and women's basketball won on Saturday. Baseball started out with 2 scrimmages. J.J. Wilcox played in the Senior Bowl, and both men's and women's tennis excelled in their season openers. So Shaquem, let's start off with the men's basketball and how they won this week.
The men's basketball team went 1-1 this past week, and they were so close to going 2-0 against rival Appalachian State Mountaineers. They were down by 17 points with 8 minutes to go, but they went on a 22-5 run in the half, and C.J. Reed hit a big 3 to force overtime. He also gave them another lead in overtime towards the end of the game with 28 seconds left. They took a 62-61 lead, but unfortunately, the Appalachian State Mountaineers hit a big 3
Got us this time.
won the game.
But in the following game, we came back.
And the offense, they played great. They scored 72 points, and they beat Western Carolina University 72-66. C.J. Reed had a career-high 11 assists, and senior forward Cameron Baskerville, he had a career-high 14 points.
Now, C.J. Reed also reached his 500 career assists, and he's really been quite the leader and the playmaker for the Eagles. Tell me about his transition this year.
Lately, this past month, C.J. Reed, he's been playing phenomenally. This last week, he was SoCon Player of the Week, and he led us to a big win. He's a field general. He's a scorer. He does what he has to do to help the team win. And he scored 16 points, even in a loss against the Mountaineers, and grabbed a career-high 9 rebounds. So he does what we need him to do.
That's incredible. But the men's basketball were not the only team to win on Saturday. Also, women's basketball won. And their junior guard, Mimi DeBose, did an excellent job. Let's hear about her.
She did. She scored 21 points, and this is the 6th time she's went over 20 points this season. And that's really good. She's the leading scorer for the Eagles, averaging 14.9 points per game. And she helped lead them to a big win. And this is the first time that they've won consecutive games this season, which is huge for Coach Wozab and the girls.
A great stride for the women's. But Mimi DeBose, she was the only starter that reached double figures. So do you think that they need to incorporate the other players in the offense, or do you feel like that's enough for them?
Well, they are. They're beginning to incorporate other players. Danielle Spencer, she scored a career-high 14 points, and she came off the bench in doing that. And the Georgia Southern's bench scored 27 points. So they're really coming along, and they're starting to score more. And Mimi DeBose isn't having to shoulder that burden so much of scoring.
And with that, we'll be right back with Sports Chief Trevor McNaboe. Welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm Katie, and this is Trevor.
It's a pleasure to be on the show with you, Katie.
It's a pleasure having you. So let's talk with baseball for this week. We had 2 scrimmages to start the season. How did the guys look out there?
The guys looked a little bit rusty. That's obvious with a long layoff coming in from last spring all the way up to late January. But they do have a couple of players coming back, returning this year, with sophomore catcher Chase Griffin, senior pitcher Kyle Rowe, and also senior outfielder Scooter Williams that lead the team.
But with these returning players, we also have lost some key players. Let's talk about who those players are and how that affected the team.
Well, you can see that every single year you're going to lose a couple of players, whether it's by graduation or the MLB draft. But this year was a really, really key year as they lost 2 juniors in the first 2 rounds. Victor Roche, the star outfielder who hit 28 home runs 2 seasons ago, was drafted in the first round. And Chris Beck, a starting pitcher, was drafted in the second round. But a couple of late-round draft picks, Eric Phillips and Jarrett Leverett, were drafted in the 6th and 15th round, respectively. So it's going to be a different Eagle squad this year.
Well, that's really awesome for them. On the topic of former Georgia Southern athletes, safety J.J. Wilcox played in the Senior Bowl, and it looks like he's going to be a pretty good NFL prospect. Let's talk about the significance of this bowl game.
Well, the Senior Bowl is the premier bowl game of college all-star for all the college players, and it kind of rewards the seniors to stay all 4 years and, go with their program. J.J. Wilcox, a great player. According to NFL insider Pat Kerwin and CBSSports.com, He's a unique athlete that has made some big strides, and he's trying to convince some NFL personnel that he's draft worthy. Throughout JJ's career, he's played 3 different positions, starting off as a running back, transferring over to a wide receiver, and now he's playing safety. He's accumulated over 2,600 yards in his career and scored over 18 touchdowns. And he's also, this year, on the other side of the ball, he had 88 tackles and 2 interceptions. So he's been a big-time gamer.
Wow, quite the player. So I want to hear your predictions for him.
Well, coming out of a FCS school, you can see LaRon Scott last year, he was a pretty good and pivotal piece to the Georgia Southern roster, and he went undrafted. I think that J.J. Wilcox has a little bit more size, and he's a little bit more versatile, so I think that he could be a mid to late round pick between the 5th and the 7th round of the NFL draft this upcoming April. That's
something to definitely look forward to. And we're cutting to another break, and we'll be back once again with Shaquem. And we're back with Shaquem to talk about tennis. So both the men's and women's tennis opened up their season with victories. The men defeated Mercer University, and the women defeated Presbyterian University. So let's talk about the standouts in these matches.
Well, senior Matt Verdam and redshirt freshman Carson Jones helped lead Georgia Southern to victory. They won their last 2 matches, and they gave Georgia Southern a 4-3 victory. And it's really good for them to start their season.
And for the women, the standout for them is freshman Francisca Norgard, and she defeated her opponent 6-0 and 6-2. And what's incredible about her is she arrived here from Denmark just 2 weeks ago. So here at Sports Talk, we wish her the best of luck in Statesboro.
Also, unfortunately, the track and field team came up short at the Jimmy Carnes Invitational. They placed 8th in a field of 12 teams, and the swimming and diving team also took a loss to the University of North Florida, losing 142 to 101.
So that wraps up all the games for this week, but for next week, men's basketball will play on Thursday, January 31st at Furman University, and Saturday, February 2nd versus the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Women's basketball will play Monday, January 28th at Elon University, and Saturday, February 2nd versus Davidson University. Swimming and diving will swim on Friday, February 1st at Gardner-Webb University, and on Saturday, February 2nd at Davidson University versus Howard University, Liberty University, North Carolina A&T State University, and Radford University. Women's tennis will play on Saturday, February 2nd at University of Alabama at Birmingham, and Sunday, February 3rd at Auburn University. Track and field will run on Friday, February 1st to February 2nd at the Hilton Garden Invitational. That's all the sports talk we have for you this week. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next Wednesday.